Netflix originals vary from auteur-driven masterpieces to pretty fun rom-coms to the most forgettable and bland experiences you will ever have the pleasure of forgetting. Enter Lift, starring Kevin Hart and directed by F. Gary Gray. Now, to put it out there, I think F. Gary Gray is a very solid and reliable director. From Friday to Law-Abiding Citizen to The Fate of the Furious, the guy has range and knows how to make something visually distinct and interesting. And Kevin Hart, well, though public opinion of him has fallen out of favour and his box office value has slowly decreased, I still think he has a lot to offer an audience looking for a fun time. So here we have an actor and director pairing that is historically reliable. Plus, Matt Reeves is sitting in the producer's chair. There's a decent enough concept, a good budget, the creative freedom that comes along with Netflix, a supporting cast that boasts a few decent performers, including Vincent D'Onofrio. So from top to bottom, this looks towards a positive time, if not at least a passable one. But unfortunately, that's not what we have here. But I'll start off with a few positives. First of all, the movie is gorgeous. I don't think the directing style and the cinematography is anything too big and grand or beautiful or special, but I do think it is pretty. Gray really knows how to shoot beautiful locations and give them this warmth and gloss. He brought that to The Fate of the Furious, and that's also present here. Also, the concept of a caper crew who steal art for the love of preserving it is beautiful and not common at all. I think it makes for interesting and fresh material. I think the biggest issue for the film overall is that it doesn't make good on this concept in the slightest. It's introduced as an idea but then quickly forgotten about, which I think is this film's first sin. This could have easily been the selling point of the film, but no, we have to trade that in for derivative and cliched story beats that every Netflix original seems to have. Like the first of these beats is the entire plot thread of unnecessary relationship drama. It feels weird, ham-fisted, and serves only as a cheap way to give something for the audience to root for, but the truth is, romance is not at all needed for this story. There is more than enough tension and conflict and motivation for all involved to keep the story moving whilst keeping the audience invested. On top of this, I think Kevin Hart is horribly miscast. Now, like I said, I don't actually hate him the way others do. I understand his shtick gets old pretty quick and most people find him annoying, but he got popular for a reason and I don't think he's doing an awful job here. He's trying to spread his wings, go into more varied roles with different challenges, and for that I can only commend him. But I just do not think he plays this role well. This role requires a guy that's suave, effortlessly charismatic, but also clearly intelligent and an almost action hero, whilst being grounded and able to convey all these things in natural conversation, even romantically. This role works for someone like Russell Crowe in his day, Denzel, or even Aaron Taylor-Johnson now, who would have been my personal pick for this. Also, Michael B. Jordan would have been a better suit for this, but we get Kevin Hart. But on top of bad casting decisions, even when they make great decisions like Vincent D'Onofrio, they absolutely waste them, because what is he even doing in this film? I recall him talking maybe twice. He mostly just changes outfits a lot and contributes nothing to any of the heists shown. He's just there. This also goes for the rest of the supporting, who demonstrate one of the biggest sins of this film. So this is a heist movie, right? Now, think about the best heist movies you've ever seen. There are tons, but for me, Ocean's 11 hits the perfect balance of having near flawless filmmaking whilst also being massively accessible and enjoyable to all audience types. And I think one of the biggest contributing factors to that is the cast and characters. Everyone in that crew has a definable role. They have individual characteristics. Everyone feels necessary. You remember everyone's part and they're not interchangeable. Now, when applying that blueprint to Lift, you'd find it's not built at all the same. I cannot give you a single character trait of anyone in this crew outside Cyrus, who even himself is incredibly shallow and underwritten. I couldn't tell you what half of their purposes are. I could not tell you their names. I could not tell you a single thing about any of them, and this isn't in retrospect. This is during the movie. You could honestly remove anyone from this supporting cast and I wouldn't notice. Then on top of this, think about Ocean's 11 or 12 or 13 or even 8. Think about the heist heist themselves. This is the purpose of the film. This is the goal. This is the climax, and they're all memorable. They're all exciting. It's like finally piecing together the puzzle after all the setup, and it feels like a whole third act's worth of payoff. But in this film, you don't see any of the prep for the heist. I mean, you do, but it's not clearly defined what any of it is. There's no fun little trial runs. When the heist begins, it is sloppily put together, and not in the way that the characters in universe put it together, but the writing and directing doesn't clearly define what everyone is doing, what the goal of every person is, what the plan is. So when the heist eventually goes awry, it's hard to even tell what went wrong or how it could have been avoided. It's all just lazy and not thought through. Even the Fast and Furious movies get this right. It's the very basics of a heist movie. Then, not to mention, the action stinks. Take for example the opening heist and following boat chase. There is no energy at all because the music is generic, like you typed in royalty-free dramatic orchestra music into YouTube, kind of generic. Then we also kind of don't know the stakes at all. It's insane to think this is from the guy who made Fast 8, which has car chases and action scenes that are all exploding with energy. But overall, this film's biggest offense is being generic. It prioritizes scale over character. It's a film so by the books and yet so incredibly messy to follow. And what worries me is this is #1 on Netflix, which means this is the most popular movie on the most popular streaming service right now. This is the content we're consuming as the masses. It's like a Fast and Furious movie without the camp, charismatic performances, mind-numbing insanity, years of world and character building, and weirdly the heart. But it also isn't sincere enough, charming enough, or even insane enough to work on any end of the spectrum. It takes no risks, it flies completely straight and becomes insanely forgettable for it. And people are just lapping this up, and Netflix are never gonna not make this type of content because we keep watching it and making it so popular. I'm part of the problem. We have underwritten characters, a lack of energy, a bland visual style, wasted concept, a twist ending that actively makes the film worse by not making logical sense, unnecessary relationship drama, a miscast lead with a wasted cast in the supporting, and is a fundamentally weak film. Now, I don't just want to spew bile on this film. It isn't completely worthless, and making films is hard, so the best I can offer is how I would have changed this movie to make it work. First of all, I would have got rid of the will they won't they storyline completely. It halts the film, it kills the pace, it's unoriginal and cheap, the audience don't want it nor do they need it. I would then make the film center around the concept of a crew that steals art to preserve it. I would use the time saved from acts in the crappy relationship story to dedicate to the rest of the supporting, build their characters more, give them some actual personality, give them motivation, a backstory. I would also possibly streamline the cast in general anyway and then recast the ones that we keep. I mean, the current actors are fine, but none of them are magnetic enough to carry some of the helpless dialogue, and a good charismatic cast with genuine chemistry can elevate even some of the most dull scripts. And then absolutely recast the lead. Kevin Hart is an awful, and maybe with some character reworking he could have some material of value that works towards his strengths, but as is, he doesn't work at all for me. But that's just me. Have you seen Lift? If so, let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think about this video. If you haven't seen Lift, will you? And whether it's a forgettable heist movie that fails at every stage to be great or not. As always, keep watching movies.